guys, so my plan was to do a proper video, but for some reason my camera decides to die on me today. So I'm using my phone and I don't know how good the quality is gonna be, but just bear with me, okay? So I know I've been away for a while, about 1.5 years or almost 2 years, I think, to be exact. The last video I did was in 2015, and for those of you who are on my Instagram and my Facebook, you know that I've been away and a bit busy because I have a daughter now. I gave birth on January 2016, last year, and so she's 1 year old now, which means she runs, she walks, she screams, she explores things. So have my hands full at the moment, but it's been a lovely journey anyway so far. But I wanted to start doing videos back again, so I wanted to kickstart with a Q&A, question and answer. So I posted on my Facebook and Instagram and asked you guys to give me any questions you have that you want me to answer. Beauty related, non-beauty related, doesn't really matter. So I'm gonna look through my Instagram first and answer some of the questions here. So Rosalicious asks, will you return to work and make YouTube videos? I will at some point, I think. I think the fact that I'm sitting here right now and recording, even though it's just my iPhone, but the fact that I finally made time to sit down and do this, I guess in a way it means I'm gonna slowly kickstart going back to doing videos again, because I love doing my videos. It was one of my favorite things to do because it was just my time alone. And now I think now my daughter Alina is sleeping, so this is my time with you guys. So I'm gonna definitely start doing videos, not as often as before, but I'll definitely try to start going at it again. Viren asks, I want to do a big clean out and start fresh with makeup brushes and want to know your must-haves for a good basic look that can transition to glam. I was thinking of doing some one-day course to learn the basics, but I haven't found one that will work around my current mom schedule. Okay, this is actually a question that I get asked a lot, like what are some of the basic items that I should have and stuff like that. And it's not a really easy question because I mean, everybody's skin is different, everybody's skin tone is different, your skin type is different, so I don't really have a fixed answer that will match everybody. But for me, what I think would cover the basics of products that you need. So let me start from the base, okay? So for me, this is going to answer another question that I have about what's my daily routine like. So this is what I would say consists of the most basic. So something like this is not a basic look. So starting with the basic, priming your skin. If you have oily skin, you would want to use maybe a more mattifying primer. I don't really have oily skin, but I'm somebody who loves waterproof makeup just because I perspire a lot and I just like everything to stay put on my face. So I actually stopped using a primer a couple of years back. So what I use now is a moisturizer. It's just a basic Dermalogica moisturizer, so that works fine for me. And then I would go for foundation. Foundation wise, I have one or two at the moment that I'm loving, and one is a high-end brand, one is a drugstore brand, which is perfect. So the drugstore brand one is the L'Oreal Infallible Matte, which I think is so good. It lasts all day and it keeps your skin matte, so I use that. And if you want a high-end one, I use the Hourglass Stick Foundation. It's such a long name, it's Vanish Seamless something. It's such a long name, but it's currently the only stick foundation that they have, and it's a brilliant foundation, and they have so many colors to choose from, which is fantastic. I hate going into a store liking a particular foundation, you know, and it's like 5 shades or 3 shades or 4 shades, and it sucks because you really cannot find your perfect shade. So those are my top two for my foundation, so you can check those out. Concealer wise, I have a few at the moment that I'm loving. So my most favorite #1 priority, no matter what, is still MAC, and it's actually the Pro Longwear, which comes in a glass bottle, and I actually mix 3 shades to get like the perfect shade for myself. So I mix NW35, which is like a darker shade, NC35, and then NC30, just to like give a bit of highlight. So you don't obviously have to use 3 shades, but this is just what I'm most comfortable with. But on days that I just want to slap on some concealer and head out, I use the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer or the Urban Decay Naked Concealer. Those two are fantastic. Those I just use 1 shade as well. Another one that recently I started using, and I'm using today as well, is by Roxmatics. My girlfriend Roxanne decides to create this makeup line. She's been actually planning it for a couple of years now, and she finally launched it. And she sent me some of the stuff from Singapore to Perth, and the concealer is one of my favorites actually because the coverage is insane. So I've had that on today together with my other stuff that I'm using, but their concealer is fantastic. I'll link everything down below obviously, so don't worry about that. That's concealer. For powder, again, I think because I moved to Perth, all my favorite brands were no longer accessible to me, you know, so I had to go out and find new stuff. Like for example, in Singapore, I used to use the Makeup Forever powders, and they were my favorite for years. But when I came here, obviously they don't have Makeup Forever here, and I didn't want to ship stuff over, just too much of a hassle. I wanted something that I could buy as and when I needed it. So I went through hell the first couple of months trying to find a powder that suited me. I was like, oh my god. I went to the drugstore and I bought like maybe 5 or 6 different kind of powders. I came home and nothing matched. I'm like, oh my god, this is horrible. I'm never gonna find a powder. And I was so disappointed because I couldn't find something that suited me properly. And then I went back to trying MAC, and then I still wasn't entirely happy with it. I just couldn't find something. Finally, I found Urban Decay. I tried Urban Decay, the compact powders, and it wasn't too bad, but I think the shade I got was a little bit dark for me. It was doable, but I prefer something that's a bit more brighter. So in the end, I went out and got the Estee Lauder Double Wear powder, compact powder, and that's brilliant. It's been fantastic so far, and it lasts all day. So for me, I'm somebody who needs something that stays put, so the Estee Lauder one is the best. Brushes wise, I think the most basic brushes you need is a big powder brush, just to like either to brush on the powder or just to like buff everything out. You would need a blusher brush just to apply a blusher. You need a fan brush to apply highlight. My personal favorite is using a fan brush to apply highlight onto your cheeks. What else? Let me see. It's really preference, because like for some people they prefer using, you see, when it comes to foundation and concealer, it's really a personal thing. If you're doing it in your own face, you can use your fingers if you want, you can use a brush, you can use a sponge. And now the current trend where people are using all sorts of crazy things, I will not go into that because it's really crazy. But yeah, please don't use the back of your shoe to apply foundation. That's just crazy. So it's really personal preference, but for me, what I like to do is I like to dot my foundation over my face first, and then I use a brush, spray on some Fix Plus, and I just buff everything out. For concealer, I mix it on my hand first because like I said, I use 3 shades, but if I'm using 1 shade, I just apply it directly. So I mix it on my hand first, and then I dot it as well, and then I use my beauty blender with Fix Plus and I blend everything out. So yeah, brushes wise, it's really personal preference. I think you definitely need a powder brush, a couple of eyeshadow brushes, blusher brush, like a round fluffy brush for your blusher, and a nice fan brush for your highlight. So those would be the basic ones. I think that, you know, like I said, everybody's got their own personal preferences. Okay, Valerie asks, should you wash or clean your brushes daily? Washing means it'll take at least a day to dry. If so, what's the best or most efficient way to clean it? I think unless you're a makeup artist and unless you're working on clients regularly, you don't have to wash your brushes daily. If it's your own personal use, and I suppose all of these questions are from this personal use only. So for me, I know as a makeup artist, even while I was on the go, I used to have a lot of brushes just because I can use certain brushes for each client and not have to wash it there and then. And when I come home at the end of the day, that's when I'll wash everything and I'll leave it to dry overnight so that I can use it the next day for my clients. But yes, brushes will take a long time to dry sometimes. I wouldn't recommend washing it every day, because eventually the more you wash it, and if you don't take care of the brushes properly, and if you don't let them dry properly as well, the water eventually is going to go in and it's going to loosen all the bristles, everything. So I wouldn't suggest washing it every day. But yeah, if you're a makeup artist, then you obviously have to do that. Nitya asks, I second the question above. I want to ask if a beauty blender is a must or just a good foundation brush will do. I love makeup and slowly building up a collection, and I wear casual makeup, but with more functions coming up, I'm dolling myself up more. Again, like I said, it's preference. When I watch a lot of people on Instagram and YouTube, some people like using foundation brushes, some like using beauty blender, some people like using The silicone sponge, it's personal preference. For me, what I prefer is using, for myself, I like to use a foundation brush to apply, to buff everything out, and then my beauty blender is my must have for the under eye concealer. But even when I was doing makeup for clients, I use a beauty blender or a latex disposable sponge for foundation. So it's really personal preference. I think what you prefer, there's no right or wrong. So Aisha asked, what's your favorite foundation on yourself and clients? Your updated skincare routine, as I know you have amazing skin. Your favorite blusher and lipstick. Okay, favorite foundation. At the moment, my current favorite is the L'Oreal Infallible. It's just the best. I think it's so good. I'm already on my second tube because I finished one already. It's that good. Again, this is my favorite. This is just what has been working well for me because I like a matte finish. I know that the same Infallible has a dewy range, I think, but I'm someone who prefers matte, so I stick with that. I don't really have an updated skincare routine. I don't even do anything to my skin. Yeah, I think when I first got married, I was quite religious with, like, you know, moisturizer and eye cream and all that. But then after a while, when the baby came along, I was like, I don't have time for this. You know, I don't know when the last time I actually did anything to my skin. I did, however, I bought the Glam Glow, one of the Glam Glow muds, just because I wanted a little spa session whenever, you know, I felt like I needed it. So I do use that, but that's maybe once every 3 weeks whenever I can actually remember or find the time to do it. But yeah, I don't really have a specific skincare routine. The only thing I can think of that actually is considered skincare would be the moisturizer that I put on my face before my makeup, and I love that moisturizer, the Dermalogica Active Moisture. It's so good. Favorite blusher and lipstick. Again, don't really have a favorite with stuff like that. It's hard to say because I'm always switching stuff around and I honestly grab whatever is at the top of my pile. So like today's one is from Models Prefer, some random peachy matte color, which I thought was really pretty. And yeah, other days it might be MAC, it might be Smashbox. Really no personal favorite. Lipstick wise as well, the ones that I reach more often will be something like that, which is from Sports Girl, which is an Australian brand. I think it's an Australian brand. If not, I've got my usual NYX liquid lipstick called Stockholm, which is another favorite of mine. But yeah, I don't really have, but yeah, it's no personal specific one that I reach for every single day. I just go with the flow. I don't have a particular one. Okay, I've got some questions here. Yeah, I see some of my girlfriends asking me silly questions here. I'm not gonna answer you guys because y'all are just being funny, I know. Chitra, Wiwit, Vanessa, Simran, y'all are asking very funny questions. I'm not gonna answer them here. Let's see, what else do I have here? Okay, I've got a long one here. This one's from Zainab. So she says, let's scroll down. She says, hi Sarah, you've done my makeup before, of which I'm so proud and so happy, and your move affected my makeup life in a tremendous way. As our skin matures, what's a good primer to use which does not cause the concealer to just slide off? I love and need a poreless look, but makeup and especially concealer just doesn't want to stay on and just glides off. How did you also do my concealing for me without it caking and streaking once the powder was applied? When it comes to concealer, I'm somebody, for me, under eye is the one thing that I pay a lot of attention to, just because my under eyes, my dark circles are really, really dark. It might not seem like it, but for those of you who have seen me with and without makeup, you know that my dark circles are really dark. And that's even why I use 3 concealer shades to get the perfect shade. It's really, really important. The first thing you need to do when paying attention to your under eyes is you have to keep it moisturized. Because if you don't, it's gonna settle into the cracks, and it might not be visible in the camera, but if you come up close, you actually can see that I do have fine lines. Obviously, I've been having them for the last maybe 5-6 years, even longer. But yeah, they will settle in eventually. But I used a lot of eye creams when I was younger, and then again I just stopped in the last 1 year maybe. But I will never ever apply concealer without applying my MAC Fast Response eye cream. That one is a lifesaver. I was only introduced to it maybe a couple of years ago, I think maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and I was a bit hesitant when I first started, like, eye cream, nah, not gonna work. But I tried it and I found that it makes the concealer doesn't sit in your lines as much when you use the eye cream. So for me, that is godsend. I cannot apply any concealer without that, whether it's for myself, for my clients, anybody. So if you're not a huge fan of eye creams, I would suggest buy the MAC Fast Response eye cream and use that before your concealer application. And a lot of people tend to make the mistake of just applying concealer and then you're done. Anytime you use anything that's liquid or cream, you need to set it with powder. So once you apply your concealer on, set it with powder. It can be some translucent powder, it can be a compact powder, anything. Just set it and then just buff off the excess so that the concealer stays put. If not, it's definitely going to glide off throughout the day. Let me see. So if you want something that's going to give you a bit of like a poreless look. Now when it comes to marks on the face, it's very important to remember that makeup can only do so much for all our skin, right? So if your skin surface is smooth but you've got flat marks on it, you can cover it. But if your skin has got like bumps on it or like dents in it, like, you know, acne, pock marks and stuff like that, it's a bit more tricky because the more makeup you apply, the more obvious it's going to get. So you can get like pore fillers, right? You can get like silicone based primers. Those tend to fill up any like gaps that you have, so those are really, really good. There's one from Benefit which I think a lot of people swear by. I don't use it, but I know a lot of people, especially one of my girlfriends, I think she is really, really just in love with it. I'll try. I don't know the name of it, but I know it's a blue tube, and I think it's basically just like a pore filler. So that one's really, really good. So if you have mature skin, right? So I'm not getting any younger either, so obviously I need to, you know, address this as well. I think that the trick is less is more, obviously. I don't know when I'm going to reach that stage because I'm clearly obviously not a fan of less. I obviously prefer more stronger KK makeup, but it's important to make sure your skin is super hydrated. So that's why I use a moisturizer and I use an eye cream when I apply my makeup, because if I don't, I know for a fact there'll be patchiness and all my lines will just be, you know, so visible. So keep your skin hydrated. Pay attention to your skin first, your canvas, before you worry about the makeup. So if you're not on any skincare at the moment, try to invest in the skincare. As we get older, and I should be listening to my own advice as well. As we get older, we obviously need to pay more attention to our skin before we worry about the makeup. So a good moisturizer, a basic good moisturizer is good, and a good eye cream for the under eyes. So I think this video is going on a bit too long now. I wanted to do a short one, but yeah. So I got a few more questions here, but I will try to reply to you guys directly on Facebook. Okay, I've got one last question here that just came in. This is from Aarti. She says, I can never draw an eyeliner well. It goes out of shape for one and the other is nice. How can I draw one well? I have the same problem. Don't worry, it happens to the best of us. You always do one side perfectly and the other side you're like, oh, it's not even. And then by the time you're done trying to adjust it, you just ruined it all. I know, it happens to me. Sometimes I just wash everything off, or I'm like, forget it, I'm not gonna try it again. But I find the easiest way to get it perfect or as similar or symmetrical as possible is I do the eyeliner on the lid first. So I do the line first and I stop at the end. And if you want it to be really perfect, you can use a Scotch tape just for a guide. But what I like to do is I do the line and then with whatever you're using. For me, my favorite for the last couple of years has always been the Benefit their real eyeliner, and that is the best because it comes with like an angled applicator, so you get an angled line each time. So I draw a stroke first and I try to measure that on the other side. So once you got the little strokes on both sides, then you just fill them in. So if you find that still a bit tricky, Scotch tape is probably one of the best options. So yeah, I'm gonna stop right here. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will try my best to do a tutorial soon, as soon as I get my camera fixed. But yeah, thank you guys anyways for watching, and I will see you guys soon, hopefully.